After a super warm reception at the 2020 Auto Expo, the Aprilia SXR160 is now in production. And now it's our chance to ride it and figure out what it actually does. Please do subscribe to PowerDrift and hit the bell notification icon so that India's best automotive content streaks right to you. It was inevitable that PowerDrift would eventually have its own hoodie. Why? Because youngsters love them. Varun Painter is a youngster, and 40 years from now when he says I'll see you later, he'll still be a youngster. If you want yours, 100kmph.com is the website to visit. But the point is, this scooter is also inevitable. Today, 1 in 3 two-wheelers sold in the country is a scooter. That's 250,000 people every month expressing the desire to want nothing more than a basic scooter. That's not possible, right? And that's why the scooter market has to evolve, and one of those evolutions is the Aprilia SXR160. Welcome to PowerDrift. Welcome to the world of maxi scooters. It might seem like the Aprilia SXR160 is the country's first maxi scooter, but that isn't the case. The kinetic blaze in fact explored the space and did well enough until its quality issues did a number on its sales. The Suzuki Bergman 125 today belongs in the same format despite its small engine, and in fact, when Zigwheels compared scooters, the Bergman won the test. Honda did sell a handful of Forzas here just before BS6 came along, and Big Wing Honda is expected to restart sales on those eventually as well. And let's not forget, Aprilia themselves had the amazing SRV 850 on sale in India until recently. What is this maxi scooter thing? Well, the maxi clearly does not refer to a woman's garment of the same name, right? Maxi, maybe it stands for maximum, and what they're trying to do is create a larger scooter with more space, usually oriented towards the rider, the pillion and the underseat more than really in terms of utility and carrying more bags. It's also a scooter that has a slightly larger engine so that if you go out on the highway, you've got enough performance to manage that, and in that sense, this is one of the directions scooters take when they become more specialized, more focused on the enthusiast. Maxi scooters, and the other one would be sports scooters, which are a little bit more performance oriented, where handling is a far more important thing. In fact, if you go to Europe, United States, Japan, most manufacturers have maxi scooters on their range, and you'll find a lot of them running around the city, usually with some amount of customization on them, and usually a very loud exhaust. And that brings us to the Aprilia SXR160, India's newest and largest maxi scooter. Pre-bookings are open now online, and Aprilia is expected to reveal the final price and commence deliveries in January 2021. You know how they like to drop vowels from everything nowadays and make the words look cooler, right? Well, I think that's how the scooter got its name, although that's my theory, not an official confirmation. This is the sexier 160, and it's based more or less on the SR160, but the body panels are all new. And it's a landmark for Aprilia India in the sense it was designed in Italy specifically for India, and exports will come later if at all. What did they do? Basically, they've mimicked the maxi scooter formats. You've got a much more imposing front end with LED headlights, a big front apron, you've got a visor, you've got a handlebar that's not faired into a fairing. It looks like a motorcycle handlebar with cladding, which is how scooters do it. You've got a large LCD screen. This probably is the longest seat in the segment. That's what Aprilia says it is. The rear body panels, they're much longer and sleeker. It gives the appearance of a maxi scooter, and it does look quite large. But if you're a person of small build or somebody who doesn't want to be intimidated by their scooter, don't worry, because that's what it looks like visually. In fact, this is the same dimension as the SR160 more or less, and it actually sits on a smaller wheelbase because they went from 14-inch wheels on the SR160 to 12 inches on the sexier 160. The engine, as we said, is borrowed from the SR160 with very minor changes, and most of them related to the ECU's calibration. So the peak power, it's 11 PS. This of course is the same 3-valve fuel-injected BS6 single-cylinder engine. Aprilia has also made minor gearing changes, and both the changes to the ECU and the gearing are to create a more progressive, more linear feeling scooter than the slightly more explosive SR160, which of course is a sports scooter. The transmission is automatic of course, and so it's larger and all that, but it's as before, twist and go.
but when you do twist and go, it's different from the SR160. The SR160 accelerates quite hard and then runs out of steam, whereas the SXR160 accelerates a little bit more gently but carries its power further into higher speeds and higher revs both.
Now the SR160 is easily the nicest of the Aprilias to ride. Maxi, Midi or Mini, I'll let you decide, but what they've done is they've made the suspension a little bit softer. What that means is it absorbs a lot more than the SR160, 150, 125, any of them have ever done. And for a scooter in this format, that's exactly what you expect. But it's still not soft enough. I think they could have gone even softer, but this is a reasonably comfortable scooter now. But that stiffness also means that the handling is actually very nice. The 14-inch wheels gave the SR160 a almost motorcycle-like handling. That's not there anymore. These are 12 inches and that means it feels more like a normal scooter, but it's sharp enough, accurate enough, and it goes into corners so nicely that I had my center stand down way earlier than I thought it would. That brings us to the brakes, and they are really good. The front disc, lots of bite, and it's got ABS, easy to control. The rear is a drum, and I think the bite could have been a little bit less because it locks up a little bit too early for my liking. But overall, this is a really nice package. When you're riding in the city, I don't expect you to have any problems once you get used to the size. Out on the highway though, you do have to manage your expectations. 75 km/h is easy, any faster and overtaking will be a challenge.
Holding the scooter together is of course the SR160's frame. So the telescopic forks up front and the preload adjustable single rear shock absorber both have been retuned to the weight and roll of this scooter, and that's the good news because the ride quality, as we said, is definitely an improvement. Aprilia also moves, and this is a big one, from the SR160's sporty 14-inch wheels to 12 inches. Now that should change both performance and gearing, but Aprilia has compensated for them, and honestly the MRF 12 inches are excellent, so there's no doubt that it feels more like a normal scooter in handling terms, but this is a good scooter.
Now maxi scooters are supposed to have two things that are better than other scooters. The first is space, and at least on the seat you can say that it did a good job because it is a big wide seat and pillion and rider both will be quite comfortable. But as soon as you realize that there's an SR160 frame underneath that, you realize that the rest of it won't work so well, and it doesn't. The underseat space, it's only marginally more than usual. I still can't put my helmet under it and close the seat, and if you have a cheaper Indian ISI helmet, that might still work. But the footboard, it's the same as before. It's not any larger because again, they could have extended the SR160's frame and they chose not to. And in that sense, it's a little bit of a wasted opportunity. On the other hand, when it comes to features, the story actually gets, wait for it, worse. You do have the option of a Bluetooth system which has the interesting feature of being able to remotely immobilize the scooter if you think it's been stolen or something like that, but even that is something you have to pay for extra, which for an expensive scooter like that, I'm going to say I'm not a fan.
When you sum it all up, you realize that the biggest talking point for the SXR160, no surprise, is going to be its styling. It looks different from every other scooter. Looking at the Aprilia 3 headlight configuration in the front of that scooter actually is very nice to look at. They are LEDs, so it does look modern. The finish, at least on those panels, is very nice indeed. And overall, it's that size and the presence that are really going to be the story of the SXR.
So that's the Aprilia SXR160. It's supposed to be a spacious, comfortable, luxurious scooter for India. But when you look closer, it does have issues. The finish levels are inconsistent, especially around the handlebar area. The front apron doesn't really have much space. The underseat, it's a little bit larger than usual, but not substantially so. The Bluetooth unit is not even standard. You have to pay extra for it. And when you think about it, that's a 1.25 to 1.3 lakh rupee ex-showroom scooter. Those kind of things should just have been included. However, when you zoom out a little and look at the maxi scooter, I believe, and Diego Graffi, the head of Aprilia India, believes that a lot of manufacturers are working on this format and we'll see a lot more of these over the next 3 to 5 years. He personally thinks that a 250cc maxi scooter would be perfect for India. I not only agree, I think it's inevitable. And now for the Big Bad Bikes giveaway. All you have to do is answer one question, and the question is, well, we'll come to that. First, please follow us here on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, we are at PowerDrift, and leave us in a comment the answer to this question. What scooter is the Aprilia SXR160 based on? Do that correctly and you could win, and I can't believe you're giving this away, one pair of Klim's amazing Viper Pro goggles via Big Bad Bikes. This is of course our last giveaway on the Big Bad Bike series, and if you want more, please leave us a comment. Thank you so much for watching.